When most of us are asleep, the tinklers have other things on their mind.
I often wonder what our neighbours think of our activities. In fact, our neighbours next door stopped me the other day and said, "What was George doing flat on his stomach in the middle of the night?"
Linda and George Tinkler live in Cumbria in the north of England.
I was born and brought up in Carlisle, lived here all my life. Carlisle is a market town. It's the biggest town in the area. It was an engineering town and a textile town in pre-war years, and I love it because of its geographical position near the Solway estuary. It has three principal rivers, the Eden, the Caldew and the Petterill.
I suppose we started doing active sound recording in early 1980s, I would say. George progressed from doing still photography, and then he got interested in the sounds of the birds and animals and discovered the Wildlife Sound Recording Society. So we both joined that in 1983, and that changed our lives. We met all sorts of interesting people who knew far more than we did, not only about the wildlife but about making sound recordings, and we learned from them.
So I've decided to go out west today, I think, because it's bright and sunny. There could still be a few geese about. Here we are at Anthorn, that's Morecambe Bay on the Solway estuary. We're about 21, 22 miles from Carlisle, and this was a naval air station during the war, and these masts that we see behind us, they were built after the war as a communications centre for NATO, and it's still used for that. The time signal for radio controlled watches comes from here. It's a very good area for wildlife because it's flat, it's got mud flats and food, ample food with the tides twice a day, so it's good for waders, and the short grass is good for geese. So in the winter we get thousands of migratory geese. We get the barnacle geese and pink-feet geese and grey-lag geese all spending time around Morecambe Bay.
For us, it's very important that we're both interested. I've been very fortunate in that I have genuinely have my own interest, and I don't just do it because George is interested. And so it makes a very strong partnership, and we help each other, especially when we're out in the van. It's important that we know what we're doing to help each other, to provide support when it's necessary.
The Solway Firth is a European marine site, a special protection area with its salt marsh and sandbanks, a haven for wildlife recordists.
It's hard to say why we like bird watching. It gets us outdoors, and we are outdoor people, and there's such a variety of birds. It starts at home, probably in the garden. We feed birds summer and winter. We put peanuts and various things out, corn and raisins for the soft-billed birds.
This is the Peter Scott Hide at Carlaverock Wildfowl and Wetland Trust. It's more a winter place because here the large numbers of particularly barnacle geese come from Spitsbergen, and they spend the winter here eating on the special grasses all around the Solway Plain.
And geese!
Well, that was a bit of luck, wasn't it? We just happened to be looking in the right direction.
Well, I thought there was nothing.
But we think that all the barnacles have gone now.
Yeah,
so these are going to be either pink feet
or grey lags. I think they'd be pink feet because there was 20,000 pink feet here in the winter.
Good. What's that?
It stopped. Sedge warbler. They chatter on like that, and If you stop and they can't see you, they start again. They get inquisitive and they come and see where you've gone. It's changed my life joining the Wildlife Sound Recording Society, because I became more and more involved. And when people talk to me about the difficulties of studio recording, I tell them frequently, you don't know what recording is till you've tried wildlife sound recording, because I think it's a more difficult situation. You're outside and you're at the mercy of the weather, you're at the mercy of the birds or animals you're recording. In fact, it's potluck, half of it.
He's interested in anything new that comes on the market which will add to his collections, and so he's always adding items as they come along and always keen to improve on the equipment so that he can make better recordings and better film.
For me, coming to the AGM like this one in Scarborough is a real wake-up call. It's an opportunity to hear fellow sound recorders.
It does take a long time though.
Because living in Cumbria, where we do, there aren't any other sound recorders we can discuss our hobby with.
When video cameras came along, this was a golden opportunity to extend our interest in wildlife, sound and then video recording.
George's dedication to the hobby he loves paid off with his pictures on national TV. Flocks of starlings creating memorable images.
I think that year there must have been between 500,000 and 1 million, and this year I'm sure there was no more than 200,000. And what's more, there were predators about. You see, if there's predators that do this sort of thing, make all those amoeba shapes as they're being chased by sparrowhawks and peregrines.
And that nocturnal activity?
We have quite a good garden for wildlife, and very recently we've discovered that we have what we think is probably a family of hedgehogs. We put food out for these each night, a real treat, and I think probably extremely rare.
How can you be bored in a world like this? It's full of wildlife, full of bird song, full of action, full of activity. Come on, we'll have some tea.